Most people say the Deathnote corrupted Light, that absolute power destroyed his sense of justice. But what if that's wrong? What if the Deathnote didn't change Light at all? What if Light's morality doesn't erode over time? What if it collapses almost immediately? And what if it simply revealed who he already was? I think that the Deathnote only brought out Light's inner, worst character traits, while also giving him the power to act on those desires.
Day in and day out. The same news on permanent repeat.
This is all so ridiculous.
This world is
Rotten.
Who was Light before picking up the notebook? Before picking up the notebook, Light thought that the world around him is rotten. That the world would be better off if some people just stopped living. This separation between himself and the society he's surrounded by becomes clear as day here. He is disgusted by them. He feels that he is above them. This shows that Light already had the superiority complex before picking up the Deathnote. The Deathnote only brought out these still dormant length traits out of him. Upon picking up the Deathnote and killing his first two criminals, Light's ego and superiority complex are shown again. He copes through telling himself that he's the only one that could clean up the world from criminals, and as he sees them, bad people. His plan is to create a world only inhabited by people he personally judged to be good, giving himself the role of judge, jury and executioner. This goes to show how highly Light thinks of himself. This belief that he alone is capable of judging the world is crucial, because the moment Light gives himself that authority, justice stops being about fairness and starts being about control. Light does not question whether he should have this power. In fact, he thinks that he was specially chosen for this, asking Ryuk why he chose Light to be the recipient of the Deathnote. He only questions whether he can use it efficiently. And this is why I think the argument that the Deathnote corrupted Light starts to fall apart. If Light's sense of justice were truly corrupted, we would expect to see hesitation. We would expect guilt. We would expect an eternal struggle between right and wrong. Instead, what we see is a short insight into Light coping with the fact that he took two human lives and coming to the conclusion that he has to be the one to guide humanity to a better world. What follows is immediate escalation. Within days of using the Deathnote, Light moves from testing its limits to killing criminals across the world. There is no real concern for error and no acknowledgement of the fact that he himself may be fallible. The criminals he kills become necessary steps towards an ideal world only Light can envision. This speed matters. A deeply rooted moral system doesn't collapse overnight. What collapses is restraint. The Deathnote does not slowly twist Light values, it removes the barriers that once prevented him from acting on them. This is further supported by the death of Lind L. Taylor. What's important here is that Lind L. Taylor is not a criminal. He poses no threat to society. His only crime is challenging Kira's authority. Light proceeds to kill him anyway, not out of a moral duty because he wronged the world by being a criminal, but out of anger of having his superior values challenged. And only after committing the act does Light attempt to justify it, convincing himself that Taylor had to die to protect the new world. This is important, because Light doesn't kill because it is just, it becomes just because he killed. From this moment on, justice no longer guides Light's actions, his ego does. Opposition becomes evil, disagreement becomes punishable by death, seen for example by the FBI agents who were tailing him. And Light's vision of a better world becomes indistinguishable from a world where he is untouchable and stands at the top. This is the foundation of his God complex. Light doesn't merely want to reduce crime, he wants to be recognized as the force behind its disappearance. He imagines a world that fears him, obeys him, and eventually worships him. A truly just person would not need to be seen as a god. Light does. The Deathnote did not give Light a god complex, it gave him permission. Permission to act without consequence, permission to impose his will, permission to finally become what he already believes himself to be. Light Yagami did not lose his sense of justice. He revealed that justice was never his true goal to begin with. What ultimately disproves the idea that the Deathnote corrupted Light is time. True moral corruption is slow. Light's transformation is immediate, however. Within days, he moves from judging criminals in his head to executing them in reality, and almost immediately begins speaking of being the one who will envision a new world for mankind. That kind of shift doesn't come from morality collapsing, it comes from restraint disappearing. The Deathnote didn't spend time changing Light Yagami, it simply gave him the time and power to reveal who he already was.